Hello, everyone. Alrighty. I'm glad to see you all still here, sticking around, mingling, and having a lovely time connecting with each other. Community is a large part of our creative hub. This is our industry access portion of the day. Industry access is a new initiative for OCA to grant more access to knowledge and experience and wisdom. We've got plenty of knowledge and skills in the course, but then there's also just lived experience and wisdom that comes from actually doing it. And so you can pick our brains about how we do things in industry, but we're limited, and so we want to broaden access, and this is what industry access is about. This is number 3. We've had Joel Farland, John O'Harrison, and this here is Luke Byatt. Luke
Howdy.
is generously going to tell us about all sorts of things. And I'll just open up and give a quick bio about Luke. Unless you want to talk about yourself.
Yeah. Hi. Hey, everyone. My name is Luke. I moved to Sydney in 2019 to start my career in the music industry. Well, kind of start my career in the music industry. Prior to that, I ran a music magazine called Futuremag Music, which I launched in December of 2015 and then later sold in May of 2022. I've also interned at a range of PR agencies, Mucho Bravado, we don't talk about that one, but I did find a really great mentor who was working there, who then, if you've ever distributed music or know about the distribution landscape, GyroStream, Vivian Mellish, who's one of the co-founders there, so she was very fundamental to my growth within the sector. And then I moved to Q Music, so similar to Music New South Wales, a non-for-profit supporting the contemporary music space up in Queensland. There I also met another great mentor of mine, Gavin Parry, who now runs CAST, the Centre of Art, Sports and Technology, connecting technology, music, entertainment to try and evolve the sector. And then subsequently I moved to TMRW Music, formerly known as Ministry of Sound Australia, where I led the streaming team there and grew TMRW Music to have the largest market share of dance music within the Australian landscape. They've held onto that title. I'm not sure if any of you saw the Billboard article maybe 2-3 weeks ago. They're still holding the ARIA chart for greatest market share for dance music in Australia. From that point, I moved across to TikTok. I worked at SoundOn, but then moved into more of a general strategy/product team. If you have used TikTok and you've been scrolling through, you've seen a sound that you like, you can click on that button and then you can add that sound directly to your Spotify playlists or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform. I led the user operations team for that and the global rollout for that particular product. So now my career is sort of sitting between the entertainment sector, tech sector, music, and then underlying all of that, as you said before, community. Community is fundamental to success across the music industry and networking just generally as a professional and also as a creative.
I just want to add to that I feel like you kind of undersold Futuremag there.
Yeah.
He founded and built Futuremag, and that's no easy feat. So yeah, I just want to add that for you.
Yeah, I'll dig in a little bit more for that. So over the 6 and a bit years that I ran Futuremag, I grew a team of 20 contributors of writers and photographers, released over 1,000 pieces of content. At the peak there, I was writing and releasing an article a day. This is old school blog before TikTok, sort of the downturn of online blogging into sort of YouTube and short form video. And me and the team were pretty much positioned Australia, or Futuremag was positioned within Australia as a premier underground music blog. As part of that, who knows K-pop Demon Hunters and Audrey Nuna? Beautiful. I ran Audrey Nuna's first ever interview within Australia, which gave her the opportunity to use that as leverage to tour within this organisation, or this country, not organisation, and have that path forward. I've also supported independent artists. That was very fundamental to my mission for Futuremag Music and the team's mission at Futuremag Music, to help them grow and have that first initial foothold within the sector. It is incredibly, incredibly hard to break through within music, and as part of that, bringing it back to community, that's where I wanted Futuremag to be, is that first launching point for people's careers and having that opportunity for them to take that step forward, and then they can leverage that into further opportunities. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a nice through line there from Futuremag and then your work at TikTok around building out awareness and discovery, which is, there's a lot of, it's a bit of a tension point about how do I, if I got my music into the right ears or eyes, then, my song would take off, or, my artistry would be recognised. And so, just for full disclosure, 2 weekends ago, I sat down and just read his Substack from top to bottom. And so, through my line of questioning, I'm going to be referencing things that he's said, and it's all on his Substack. So when I say, you've said this, it's been written down on Substack, whether, last week or March last year. If anyone's a Substacker, I highly recommend subscribing. If anyone's free. Doing their Extend Expertise unit, and you need a professional to follow and learn from, then Luke would also be a good case study for you to add to your assessment. So this is where I kick off here and I say, you've said that virality without fandom is just expensive noise. So I want to strip away that complex jargon, and I want you to talk about, what do you think is the fundamental difference between chasing an algorithm and building a genuine community? And then for these aspiring artists and or music marketers just starting out, what do you think is a foundational step they should take to ensure their promotional plan, finding those ears and eyes, being discovered, how do they ensure that plan actually connects with the real people to build that community?
Yeah. Going back to Substack, if you really like reading long-form essays of a couple of thousand words, that is sort of what my Substacks are. They're a very big deep dive into a multitude of different topics. So the virality without... I can't even remember what I wrote.
Virality without fandom is just expensive noise.
Cool. So with virality, it is not the first thing that you want to be achieving. You don't want to be going out into the world and having no community behind you before going viral, because what's next? People will want to be finding and consuming your art, your content, whatever you're presenting out into the world. If there's that one moment and there's nothing else there, they've got nothing to go back to, they've got nothing to consume, they can't become a fan, they can't join that community. So the fundamental first step to that is building community. So there's a multitude of different ways that you can build community. You can build it in a live setting, you can build it online, you can build it through connections at the local pub where you're playing gigs. You can come to places like Oxford Art Factory. You can go to Oxford Creative Academy. You can build those connections and then have a support network around you so you can grow and develop in that space, whatever direction that you want to be going through. It doesn't necessarily need to be content, but in terms of the content angle, go in it with a plan, go in with an idea about how you want to be perceived, and how you want to present yourself online, and does that feel genuine? Don't think about how can I service the algorithm, think about how can I service my community, how do I want to be presenting myself to said community, and if you are chasing the algorithm per se, the algorithm is responding to change the word algorithm to audience. So what would my audience respond to? And then if that is, my audience loves, I know that my sound is very similar to Laufey. You can then do Laufey covers, or you can connect yourself to these artists or these creators or people who are similar to you and try and draw those people into your fold while also staying genuine to you as an artist. I worked a campaign with a Chinese American girl called Kai. Her whole angle was being diaspora over in New York and in London, and we spoke at length about how does she want to be presented and how does she want to angle herself within the online space. A big part of that is she wanted to be quite forward with her heritage and her background, but also be very, very progressive and tie in both sonically and visually a sense of evolution to her sound. So as part of that, we ran a social strategy which looked at her rapping and singing covers bilingual. For instance, we would tie it into cultural moments. So when the Barbie movie came out, she would do what would the Barbie song sound like with a Chinese verse, and then she would have that tied into it, but there was a very specific visual language attached to that as well, which was unique to her. Through that, we then tied in her own music and own sounds, and throughout that whole process, she became recognized as, oh, that's the really cool production girl on TikTok who is bilingual, singing English, Chinese. She also sang in Korean and Japanese as well. So that was her point of difference. She then further built that community out by teaching her English friends and American friends who didn't speak a lick of Chinese how to sing her songs. And then that turned into a viral moment, which she then capitalized on and turned it into a trend. That then could snowball into other opportunities for her. But the fundamental underlying aspect to all of that is the community's building side of things. She wanted to build community, and we spoke about at length of how to do that. So, as I said, the formulation of content, but also bringing those people from TikTok, Reels, etc., and bringing them into asking her questions and being an open book about production, being an open book about lived experience and her shared experience. And then that built a very strong foundational community around her. From a promotional standpoint, you don't need to spend a single dime. Yes, it is very helpful if you do want to invest that additional finance and money into promotion, but without a baseline for you to grow and promote from, you're just wasting your money. You can definitely do everything organically. And that's starting from scratch, from zilch. Getting a little bit technical here. If you are a brand new artist and you set up a brand new account on TikTok, there's a thing called cold start. That is basically where your account is being pushed out to brand new users, and it rewards it. The account doesn't know who your user base is. So there's a higher chance that your audience or people will find you in that early stage. So having that understanding and then turning that into opportunity into the future is also valuable. I see that's a question.
Yeah, so on that, with starting a new social media account, say for example, with my artist project, I've had my TikTok account running for like 4 years, and beginning of it, I fully got that cult start following. I've had a couple of like pretty good videos that have done pretty decently, but I'm kind of on the fence of starting a new TikTok for the sake of leveraging that cult start. Would you recommend doing that if I already have?
It all depends. It all depends on the type of strategy that you want to implement. So you can go, if you do not feel comfortable launching a brand new account and completely nuking your previous accounts, you just need a concerted effort in terms of posting to these platforms. But then that comes with the trade-off of, if I'm spending so much time creating content and feeding this monster of a social media platform and trying to engage with that, what am I sacrificing elsewhere? Is that sacrificing time in the studio? Is that sacrificing being creative in other means? Is it sacrificing community and building community elsewhere? So it's a trade-off. So what I would say is, if you do want to be leveraging into TikTok or whatever other social platform, you can, but you also have to be aware of the amount of time and resource commitment that goes into that.
Yeah, I think we're kind of verging on another question that I have here. And so we've talked about the promotional plan as a broader like storytelling effort that tells story around like the broader context of who you are, of the artist. It's effectively artist marketing. And so then where we're talking about cold starts and the feed and trying to leverage the algorithm, then we're now veering into like that fast pace feed and those discovery mechanisms. Where I was reading how you were talking about the art entertainment spectrum. And so because people scroll so quickly, it's really easy for an artist's work just to become another piece of what is seemingly disposable content. And so we've talked about storytelling and artist identity. And so here's where I want to bring in like the sonic identity as well. You've kind of talked about using covers as like lures almost and building community that way. And so I want to build in or talk about like a real or a deeper purpose for that sonic brand and a signature sound. And how does having a consistent sound design for content go beyond just basic marketing and actually help an artist protect their true identity in this art entertainment spectrum?
Yeah. So that's been pulled from an article where I spoke about how I don't think